Welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills. I'm your host, Don Moragne. Tonight we have a special segment, our normal special segment called the Wealth Zone University. And as always, our purpose is to change your mind to help change your financial future. Tonight's a very special night because women have a very important place in the financial security of their families and of businesses. And tonight we have two businesswomen, successful businesswomen I may add, who've come to lend their experiences to our show. Now remember, you are the beneficiary of all the experience that we have here, and it's all about your financial security, so listen up. First, to my right is Brynda Johnson. Brynda Johnson is an entrepreneur and a founder of a wellness dynasty called Egyptian Secrets. She's been in business, well, we won't tell you how many years. Thank you, Brynda.
Thank you.
For allowing me not to say that. But she's been extremely successful, and she has put more people in business since she's been coaching and consulting than a little bit. Her clients call her a muse. I know she's a muse because she was my business coach at one point in time, and so I know how successful she can be. To her right is Lucia Dest. Lucia is a certified public accountant who has a successful business of her own. She's 8A certified, and she is doing wonderful things for the accounting community. And both of these young ladies, besides having businesses, are family women, raising families. So that gives us a double perspective on what we're going to be talking about tonight. Welcome, Brynda.
Thank you.
Welcome, Lucia.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We've been discussing the real secrets of money, and that's what this show is all about, the real secrets of money. The real secrets of money is to save, to protect your money once you save it, to help it to grow, and to maximize your money by taking advantage of the tax advantages that are inherent in certain savings products. Tonight, ladies, I'd like to get your perspective on saving as a way to financial security, not only through families, but through your businesses, and also how you guide your clients in that vein. Brynda, you've got hundreds of clients across the nation. I know you consult with them all the time. You do seminars on wellness. And one of the things that really struck me early on when we met is that you consider wellness and wealth to be integral, not separate. Can you speak to that for a minute?
Sure. You know, I owned a day spa in downtown Silver Spring, and one day it occurred to me that the majority of my clients would come into the day spa because they were stressed out. And I got to the bottom of why they were stressed, and it turned out that it dealt with money issues. The number one culprit of stress and illness, actually, is a result of not having enough money.
I'm sure we can all appreciate that.
That led me into learning more about how to cure money problems. And it boiled down to the more money people make, the more they tend to spend. So they don't necessarily earn more money and save that extra money. Instead, it becomes a new Mercedes or a new automobile of, a better value or better quality, or larger home or more clothes, and so forth and so on. But as a result, they develop a habit, and I call it a bad habit. Mm-hmm. So we created the acronym BAD, Battle Against Debt.
Okay,
BAD.
I like that. Okay, folks, you have to remember that. Bad is no longer bad, it's a battle against debt.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So part of my wellness program included learning how to save money and how to get out of debt. And how do we do that? We do it at the same time.
Okay, let's visit that in 1 minute, okay? Because that's an important part that I don't want the audience to miss, okay? Lucia, how are you?
I'm fine.
Now, Lucia's clientele is also nationwide, but she centers on working with government contracting companies. Now, these are companies that have a special 8A certification that may handle millions and millions of dollars. And so Lucia's an expert at handling money just on a day-to-day basis. Lucia, I know you counsel your clients on a wide variety of things, but one of them I know is how to become self-sufficient in terms of their own cash flow. In terms of savings, How do you talk to your clients about their savings habits, and what do you recommend?
For my clients, I deal primarily with businesses and a lot of times look at it on the business side. Of course, because my clientele is a lot of times small business, it gets commingled. And so one of the things that we work on with our clients is to make sure that they work within a budget. Because when you work with the government, you cannot charge everything to the government. You have to project out what you're gonna spend. And the only way to do that is to work within a budget. One of the things we try to teach our clients is with each check that they receive is to put a portion aside and consider that a bill that they pay so that they have that money set aside, so when things get a little bit harder, they have that money set aside.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's one of the things that I think we all as financial people want to share, that one of the things we need to do is pay ourselves first. Brynda, I know that's one of the tenets that you always have with your clients, but you both are families, have families. And so is that something that you've also shared with your families, to pay yourself first? Brynda?
Most definitely. Well, my story is a little personal.
Okay.
I don't mind sharing.
We take personal stories, don't we, folks?
When my children and I traveled across country, we purchased a home, started a business, and when that happened, I decided, and you know, the business grew and grew. I had no idea it was going to take off and grow the way it did, but it did, fortunately. And I decided at that point not to go out and spend with that elite piece of plastic that we all call credit cards. And of course now they're so fancy, they want you to spend and go in debt, so you have your picture or your dog or your cat or your car put on the plastic so that you'll spend and show it off.
Personalize it.
Yes, but in my case, I decided to save money when I found out how high the interest rates were that the banksters were the banks were charging. And I decided that's not a good idea to pay these high interest rates. So we paid off the house in 13 years.
Wow, that is fantastic.
And that took a lot of discipline.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did.
So-
That's the kind of advice that can be given by a person who's actually done it. And that's what we're here today, folks, for, to let you know that it can be done. It can be done by ordinary people. It can be done by you, that your financial future is in your hands. All you have to do is change your mind about money. Lucia, let me ask you, along the same vein, have you experienced anything in your personal life, not on the business side, but your personal life, that might add to how money's being handled?
Yes, but you know, unlike Brynda, I had to learn it the hard way, because not growing up in this country and coming from a country where everything was really, credit cards didn't exist. You may have a corner store that will extend you some credit, where you go, it's really like a layaway program that they have. I didn't grow up with credit cards. And as a CPA, people assume that you know about financing and you know about how to handle money. I was never taught that. So I had to learn the hard way. I had to make the mistakes, because what we were told, I didn't have parents here that I could borrow money from. So you get the credit card, you get the first credit card, and you charge it. And they say, hey, in order to build credit, you have to
Charge more.
And you know, you get caught in that. And for me, literally, I had to learn the hard way, got myself in trouble, not to the point where I had to file bankruptcy, because I've always believed that you have to live up to your obligations,
Right,
and you have to
responsible
pay
for your
off your
debts, yeah.
bills. So I had to set myself on a budget. I had to painstakingly pay those bills. And I had to learn that in addition to paying the bills, you have to put money aside so that when things happen again, you have money to save back on.
That's great.
What I learned from it is that it can be done. So even if you get yourself in financial debt, because a lot of people, there are people that are very responsible and there are a lot of people that are not. So if you fall into that category, that there's still hope, that you can still pay off your bills and that you can still save that money to get to the next step.
That's excellent. That's excellent. The part that I really like about it is that you lived it. Both of you have lived it, and you've made it come true, and you've turned it around, and you've become successes. And that just means the ordinary person has no reason why we can't take responsibility for our own financial security and make it happen. The one thing that I want to throw in here right now is that the B word, the budget. It scares everyone to death, business and personal. No one likes that word. So we've adopted an acronym for it. It's called the 3 M's, manage my money. So instead of worrying about a budget, let's sit down and make a plan where you can manage my money, a 3M plan, and let's put that in place, because as two ladies said, the way they've been able to successfully handle their financial resources is by budgeting, making sure they put money away for the hard times while they were also paying down their debt and paying down their bills. And that's what we're about. In our next segment, we're going to talk more about the actual steps involved in savings as it occurs to each one of us. And we're also going to talk, Lucia, a little bit about how to not lose your money. One of the important things that we're trying to let everyone know is that savings is the first part of what we're trying to do. Protecting your money is a very valuable second part of what we want to do. And so, Brynda, in your instance, savings, after you paid off your house, I'm sure you began to look at things that would allow you then to put money away and protect it.
Well, it's not quite that disciplined.
Okay, all right. That looks like that's going to be a long story, so we'll save that for the second segment. How about you, Lucia? As you began to see your way clear, did you see that things were going to turn around for you?
Yes, it took a while. It certainly didn't happen overnight. It's still an ongoing struggle at times, because when we see stuff, we want it. You see a nice big TV, you don't have one, you try to justify it. And so now I have to really train myself. And I look at it, I may play with it. I have gone to the store and literally walked through the whole store with something in my cart and put it back and say, no, you don't need it.
I like that.
So it takes a lot of, it's a constant, you have to constantly look and really justify, do I really need this?
But not
What
to
is it gonna
interrupt,
do
I
to
call
me?
that bait and switch. Where you go, you see something, you price it, you drive it around the store the entire time, then you put it back, and you go home, you take that money, and you move it to your savings account. That's what we call bait and switch, and that's one of our savings criteria. We're going to be breaking in a few minutes for a station break, but we're going to ask you two ladies to stay with us because there's a lot more real life information that we want to share and that they have to share with us. So folks, you stay right where you are because the changing your mind can change your financial future, and this is the place to do it.
Whether you want to create a show of your own or just learn about radio and television, Fairfax Public Access offers training programs that are perfect for you. Studio classes put you on the set and field classes take you on location. Learn how to put footage together in our editing suites. If it's music or talk you're into, we offer courses in radio production. Best of all, air your program on one of our cable channels. Give us a call or visit our website at fcac.org.
Welcome to The Real Secrets of Money. I'm your host, Don Moragne, and this is a special segment called Wealth Zone University. The purpose of the Wealth Zone University is education, financial education. We want to help you change your mind about money to change your financial future. That's the entire purpose of our segment. Tonight we have as our guests two professional businesswomen who are going to share their experiences with you as family members, as businesswomen, as entrepreneurs, and as people who counsel other people, their clients, on how to handle money. To my right is Brynda Johnson. Brynda is a serial entrepreneur, meaning that she's had many successful businesses. She continues to consult in the area of wellness and wealth, and she has clients that are across the nation that rely on her for her expertise. Welcome, Brynda.
Thank you.
Right next to her is Lucia Dest, and Lucia is a CPA and a brilliant accountant who has as her client base 8A companies, which are government contracting companies, And I can tell you from experience, they're the hardest people to account for, and Lucia makes it very, very easy. Welcome, Lucia.
Thank you.
Two successful businesswomen. And why are they here? Because we feel that women have a significant place in the economy of the country, the economy of their families, in the case of business, women and women in business, in the economy of the business, but even more, these two ladies have an impact on the financial future of their clients. So look at that. That's 4 aspects of finance that these women are involved in, from the home, themselves, to other people. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. So we're going to share a bit of their stories today. The real secrets of money: saving, protecting your money, making it grow, and maximizing the tax advantages are the things that we're all about here on the Wealth Zone University. So we're going to talk about savings and protecting your money today. Ladies, Brynda, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Great, great. In a prior segment, we talked a bit about savings. Let's jump right here to protecting money. There's certain ideas that you had about protecting money that you wanted to share with us.
Well, protecting money, I'd like to digress a bit.
Digress. She can digress, can't she?
Well, we need to find out how to protect the money. We have to get the money first, right, to protect it. And one of the ways to accumulate money is, of course, not to spend it all.
Makes sense.
So how do you do that? And we discussed a little bit about debt control, or how do you do both? Most folks want to just earn lots of money and then they want to go out and buy the things they always wish they could have. Mm-hmm. So we need to learn to become disciplined in saving and staying out of debt. Well, you have to get out of debt before you can save it or grow it or protect it. So what I learned to do is, as you mentioned earlier, you pay yourself first. So you become a debt. It's a personal debt to yourself, to your family, and it's a responsibility that we need to adapt in our personal life. So we take that paycheck that we've paid ourselves and we split it in half. This is what I've come up with, my formula.
We'll talk about your ideas.
And a question I asked before I came up with the idea, which came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Wow, that's novel.
Well, do you save money first or do you get out of debt first?
And your answer to that
My answer
dilemma
was, let's weigh it.
Great.
You have the banksters charging 18.9% on a debt, and then you have how much interest that you gain on a savings account. And I said, 18.9% versus a lower percentage. So I said, well, you have emergencies, so you need both. So you split your paycheck that you've paid to yourself, and you put some, you pay off those debts. You get, and I use FAT money, F-A-T-T, fortune, after the thought. You put the items in your basket, you leave them, and you accumulate a fortune after the thought of not purchasing or spending your money on those items.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
So you take that saved money and you pay off the debts with it. So you get your debts down until they're gone, and then whammo, you have all that money. You have a fortune to do what you need to do to grow it.
Whammo.
Did I say that?
That's a good idea. Most importantly, I heard out of that was paying yourself first. I think that's a basic tenet of everything that we need to do. We need to place ourselves in a position where we make ourselves a priority. I think that's extremely important. Thank you very much, Brynda. Lucia, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good, good. In terms of making sure that we take care of ourselves and we develop ways to save and save systematically, what things have you shared with your clients, or what things have you done in your personal life that you think may be valuable to our audience tonight?
One of the things that to me has been most helpful, and I share it, I do it for myself and I do it with clients, is to have a direct deposit right out of your paycheck. If you have a regular paycheck, just allocate a percentage, goes directly into a savings account, preferably one that you can't touch, or that makes it very difficult for yourself to touch that money. Because for years I did that. I transferred the money myself. I had the check going into the checking, and then you transfer the money. It was so easy to transfer it back. You see something you want, transfer it right back and spend the money. And then I said, that is not working very well. So I set up an account that's too far. By the time you think about transferring it, it takes days to get to the money. You changed your mind. It's just too much work. So unless you absolutely need it, because you do put that money aside for emergencies or for times when you need it, but it will give you a lot of problems to just transfer it. So it really only do it when you really absolutely need it. So my suggestion to people is, if they are on payroll, is to set up a direct deposit. Even if it's a small amount at first, if you can't afford $10, $15, $25, just do it consistent. And you'll be amazed, after a while, you forget that money is there. You don't even miss it because you work with what you have in your account. So just set it aside. Maybe the first couple of times it may be difficult. After a while, you don't even remember that money is going into a different account.
See, that's fantastic. So what we heard is, Lucia just said essentially that if you develop a way to what we call don't see, do save, it goes directly out of your paycheck into some kind of account, hopefully an account that you don't have ready access to, you can begin to accumulate money, and if you do it consistently, you become almost a habit. And coupled with what Brynda said, paying yourself first, you're in good shape. Now, Brynda told me something about habits a while ago that I'm going to ask her about. Brynda, what is a habit, and how long does it take to make a habit? And so we're talking about people developing saving habits. Tell us about habits.
In the old days, they said it took approximately 28 to 30 days.
Okay, the old days.
The
We're going to ask her
days.
about those later on.
28 to 30 days to develop a habit.
Okay, in the new days.
The new days, they're saying, scientists are saying it takes 57 to 90 days to develop a habit that is a lasting habit, one that you don't slip back into, and that it seems to work. Well, it does work because I've experimented with it. One way I've experimented was to every evening take coins, because most times we say we don't have any money to save. We say, how can I save if I can't pay all of my bills? Well, again, we have that fat money if we don't go to
Fat meaning?
FATT, the fortune after the thought,
Okay.
or the money that we're actually wasting. It's wasted money, or money that's not spent wisely. Starbucks may be one example. $5. Some people drink 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee a day.
That goes along with one of the tenets of savings, which we said is we need to learn how to use money as opposed to spending money. I think that's what you're driving at,
Exactly.
right?
One way to start that habit, or to stop the habit, is every day, at the end of the day, take all of your coins out of your pocket or your purse and drop it in a container. Even your singles, at the end of the day, take those single bills out of your purse or your pocket, wherever you keep it, and put it in a separate place. Actually, you don't miss it. You really don't miss it. It's just a habit to develop to start your savings.
And habits are really important because that first 30 days when you have direct deposit and you're paying yourself, it may be something that you think about. The second 30 days, the 60 days, is something you think about less, and before you know it, you've got a system that's working that you're not even thinking about anymore, and that's the habit you formed.
Exactly.
And it's actually coming along with what Lucia said. Make sure that you directly deposit your money, and what you said, make sure that you pay yourself first. And so we're actually establishing a system. Now, I like the aspect of it that we don't spend every dime that we get, and you both spoke about that. How do we not spend all the money that we get? Lucia, please talk about that for a second for me.
A lot of times we tend to look at every time you get an increase, and Brynda touched on that, you want to get a bigger car, or you want to get a bigger house, or you want to get more expensive clothes. And I believe as your salary increases, if you keep your standard of living pretty much the same, you will have more money. You don't have to spend it. Or you look at it and you put that money into a savings account, and you could give yourself rewards at times. I truly believe that you should be able to get something you really want.
I should incentivize yourself.
Exactly. And for everybody, different things are important. Some people, I have a friend that loves purses, and she has no problem spending $1,000 on a pocketbook.
Does she have $1,000 in the pocketbook?
She does. Okay. But she spends her money wisely. I have other people that, they'll like to go on nice vacations. They put that money aside to do that. So you want to be able to reward yourself, but you don't want to spend everything that you bring in. And I think the way to do it is not every time you get an increase to go and buy more to use all that money. And I try to, even with, as money comes in, I try to say, okay, this is the money that goes to bills. This is what I have left. And then I try and that's after I've put money into savings. And then with what is left, I try to still put extra money aside. I just transfer it somewhere to.
Well, see, I like that. Because one of the things that you're doing is making sure that you don't put all obstacles in front of yourself, where you become kind of depressed, where you continue to incentivize yourself as you're continuing to save, and you encourage yourself to go to the next milestone because there's an incentive there.
Right.
And so that's very important for us to share with our audience, that we're not telling you that you're supposed to deprive yourself. What we're telling you is that you have to learn to reallocate your resources. As we said before, we have to learn to use money as opposed to spending money. And that's our purpose here. The purpose of the Wealth Zone is to make sure that you change your mind about money to change your financial future. Thanks for listening with us. Good night.